Let's move on to the Hornets, who, since there's so much noise because of what's happening with the rest of the league, but since the right before Christmas, they have a top five defense. Did you
How?
know that? They've been
No, I didn't.
one of the bigger things is their small ball lineups always, I won't say always, but they generally have outperformed the defensive expectations under James Borrego, which is why I've always thought among the complaints about him for Charlotte, I thought that's been unfair. I know a lot of fans seem frustrated with the James Booknight isn't playing enough and they don't give run to Kai Jones, but it's your team is too good for that to happen. And who are you playing James Booknight over on this rotation? I digress though. They're doing a better job defensive rebounding overall when they do have Mason Plumlee on the court as well. What are you doing if they're them? Buy, sell, or hold? And I do think this is a little bit more trickier this side of the Myles Turner injury.
For sure, yeah. I mean, because he made them all the sense in the world as the center for them, and like Christian Wood, I guess, is your alternative that provides some of the offense and but none of the shot blocking. I think Montrezl Harrell is another guy that they might want to think about as like a plan C for a center upgrade, at least offensively. So yeah, I guess I categorize the Hornets as a buyer, but their window is is tricky to figure out because it's a little like Memphis where like, oh man, like, hey, I mean, to a lesser extent, but like we're good and we didn't really plan on this right away, but we're LaMelo Ball is ready to lead a team, and okay, cool. But I don't know, other than the Myles Turner thing, what the no-brainer move is out there. I do have I know I don't do this a lot, I have a wild idea I'd like to run past you.
Please throw it at me.
So Gordon Hayward, uh, paid like a first option superstar, depending on what you think of this roster, is their third guy, fourth guy. It's hard to say. Um, Probably not fourth. Third seems fine. Um, he has a 15% trade kicker, and his salary is enormous. But I wonder. So if you're confident that Turner's foot thing, like maybe if you're thinking of Turner as the center we're going to keep through this contract and keep for the next 4 or 5 year deal that we sign him to, and if you're also confident that Miles Bridges is kind of the luster has worn off a little bit after the start of the season, and you're not sure you want to give him $100 million plus. I wonder if you throw Hayward and Bridges at the Pacers for on the idea that you would re-sign him, TJ Warren and Turner, and maybe you'd throw draft picks one way or the other. But you're getting Turner, you're moving a $30 million guy that's just not going to be worth $30 million to you. You're giving up on the idea of paying Bridges like a superstar. And maybe if Warren gets healthy, who knows if he's ever going to play again this year. So you'd be taking his next contract on faith. But something like that, just to get Turner and to get $30 million from Hayward off the books, kind of stuck out to me.
Moving them both at the same time because I think you need at least one of them. And Hayward's been rock solid for them. He's in the
Yeah.
league's health and safety protocols now. I think he's so plug and play for someone who can also handle the ball that I don't mind having his money on the books. If you were to do something like that, though, with the Turner injury, you also it would have to be Levert, Warren, and Turner going back to Charlotte for me to even think. And you might want to pay Bridges over Levert at that point. You might even want to pay Hayward long term over Levert at that point. So unless Indiana's deciding to give up draft equity as part of that, I don't think I would do it if I'm Indiana.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a
sorry,
bad trade. But did you know that Gordon Hayward is from Indiana?
there's
So
that. He also has
I don't know if you're
he has a pre-existing relationship with Brad Stevens. Should we send him back to Boston?
probably. Actually, is he from Indiana? Why do I keep? Yeah, that's right. Right. I don't know.
The what I'm buy for them as well, but I think they need to be I don't even know that this was the time to go all in on a Myles Turner trade. If it cost you because one, who is it PJ Washington and then a pick? You've already traded away this year's pick and it's protected pretty far out. There's a chance you're giving up a 2026 pick then. Was it PJ Washington and Book Night? How else are you figuring out the money there? Is Kelly Oubre Jr. going to Indiana as well? I would have considered it, but now that he's injured, I'm sort of holding my trade chips. Let's see how good we are as currently constructed and reevaluate this over the offseason when they know Miles Bridges' price point. I think they'll have Terry Rozier has played better lately. You'll still have LaMelo Ball. What are you able to do on the margins in free agency? And can you do something to sort of I don't even want to say beef up, but diversify the center rotation. That's not going to be this all in type play. You know, what do the Nets want for Nicholas Claxton? Is it seconds? Then you can try that. I know he's on the smaller end. Another player that would be interesting for this team, just on the lower scale, Chris Boucher. It's just like, again, someone who's not this huge center, but can play the five for you. And it seems like they want someone who stretches the floor. He's not shooting well from three this year, but he has shot well from three in the past, and he shoots threes. So he's stretching the floor via that volume. I think that's the degree to which they should buy, is more of these minor moves, and they can be more aggressive over the offseason. They'll also have a better idea of what's going on with that pick they owe to, it's not New York anymore. Excuse me, it's Atlanta. So that is what I would do with it. Just because you're not, what does, let's even say it's a healthy Myles Turner. What does he assure you a crack at this year? Winning one playoff series? It's not two. I don't think he gives you an Eastern Conference final ceiling. And just because I did double check, they're seventh in points allowed per possession since just before Christmas. There's a lot of noise in that because of what's going on with the rest of the league. And like, I don't know if you're going to hold serve at that point. So they just feel a little bit too early into their window of winning to make any substantial type of a buy play.
Yeah, I the only thing I wonder is if Turner's your guy, if you think as the Hornets like this is the guy that fits, why to me it almost doesn't matter if he doesn't play the rest of this year, because like the Hornets are a nice story and maybe they'll win a playoff game. They're not probably going to win a series. So if you're getting Turner, I think to me the idea would be like he's our center for the next 6 years. So and now maybe his value, there are fewer suitors because the ones that want him to win this season are gone. And maybe that devalues, so I think it could be an opportunistic play to just go get him now and hope the foot, maybe he misses this year. Maybe you want him to sit out this year if you're Charlotte and you get him because like this is your guy. I don't know if he's their guy, but he certainly makes sense, it's just like looking at it from 10,000 feet, like, yeah, he stretches the floor, he blocks shots, cool, he'll help. Like, I don't know. I guess Charlotte's a weird situation where like I'm saying they're a buyer, but they're almost to me like you're not necessarily having to be a buyer for this season. You're still trying to put together the team that's going to make a deep run eventually.
So would you do Kelly Oubre Jr., James Bouknight, and PJ Washington for Turner? And let's say let's say you get Justin Holiday back in that deal. I think the money works there.
Yeah, I would, because Justin Holiday's not nothing. That's another like sneaky fallback option for teams that need wings. I don't know if he's available, but yeah, I would do that. I guess had Bouknight gotten the opportunity to show more, maybe that would change my thinking. But I just don't know. I don't know what he's going to be yet. So yeah, I think I'm good with that from Charlotte's end.
Man, I think that would be tough for me because Oubre's been good. I still think PJ Washington is rock solid. The Bouknight, like I said, I'd be fine moving him, but the alternative of giving a distant first, and that they could give New Orleans his first this year, but it's lottery protected, and then it turns into 2 seconds. So maybe if his value dropped that much, where if it was Oubre and Bouknight or PJ Washington plus that first and maybe a second, if they want to take that, I'd make that play. Otherwise, what's stopping you from just waiting until the summer then? You're just assuming
Right? No,
there might be more suitors. He'll be in the last year of his deal. I guess teams would want to extend him, and he does have the number to where an extension wouldn't be a bad move on his part. But I would still probably just wait unless the cost comes down. But the Bouknight and Washington plus Oubre for me, if you force me to choose, I'd probably say no this season. But I get why you would say yes because your logic tracks for sure.
well, and also I'm the wrong guy to ask about Oubre because I still think of him as the guy that was on the Warriors that had no idea where to be on either end. Like that was brutal. He's great now. He made 10 threes the other night, but that's never going to leave my mind.